G'day, it's Rob here again. Well, here's the latest project. It's from the brother-in-law. It's a very beat up big air compressor that came out of a skip. He was doing some dumpster diving and he found this in it. And it's all there, including the leads. Well, you know, even if it's buggered, you can still use the leads off of it and the air fittings, and yeah, there is a few bits and pieces you could salvage out of it. Oh, yeah, it's fairly weighty. It's got a big pump on it. It's a matter of what the story is. Now he reckons when you put power on it, it makes a rattling noise, but doesn't pump and doesn't spin over. So it sounds like something might be seized up. So the first thing we'll do is we'll give it a resistance check to see if it takes any current, and see if there's a broken connection anywhere. And if it shows that it's got continuity, well then it's a matter of whether it's seized up or whether it could have continuity and be burnt out, you know. But generally DC like this, if it's got continuity, that's a good sign. But one never knows until one gets into these things. So we'll give it a continuity check. Okay, so it's got continuity. Right, well now we'll hook up the battery charger to it. This is a 4 amp battery charger, and see what happens whether it puts anything in or whether it makes a noise or whatever. So put her on and give her a go. Nothing. Not a peep out of it. Alright. So now it's time to, and there was nothing shown on the meter. That's strange, it had continuity but no, not pulling anything. Alright, it's time to take it apart and see what's going on. Right, see what we can do as far as get this thing apart. Allen bolt on there. She's had a bit of a wallop, so probably when it got thrown in the mini skip, I suppose, in the dumpster. Here we go. If she comes up, see how it's attached. One never knows these things that you've never worked on before. Interesting. That's where these little cheetah bars are good. I've got that little cheetah bar I've shown you before, and I showed you how to make one. Quite often the stuff can be frozen, and cheetah bar can really save the day, save your hands, stop them getting all chewed up. Right, here's a trick, just put a flat piece of heavy bar in your vise. Get it under the edge. she's coming. Oh, she's off. So that's apart. So, you know, if that doesn't work, use a proper puller, but the problem with this is that a puller wouldn't fit on terribly well because it's irregular shape, so where you just use your bar. Alright. Okay. Bit more junk out the way. It's a pretty meaty sort of a motor. Now it's a matter of going to crack the motor open and see, we're just going to nut, and see what the hell's going on inside. It could be the brushes are shot, but now we know what we're looking at, and we're not going to disturb the wire any more than we have to. I mean, this could be a total write-off, you don't know. You know, anything's possible. Now then. What have we got? What have we got? Push it through this way, and that way you can keep your brushes and everything in shape. Now ideally you should have something to slip between the magnets and the rotor so that you don't lose any magnetism, but as this is a junker, it's not going to make much difference anyway. We'll just slide her out. But normally you'd put an insulator through there. You know, you'd have to use something thin like Perspex or something, but plastic, but anyway. We'll go with this. Yeah, honestly, it all looks good. It looks really good. Now, can't see an issue really. Okay. Yeah, the brushes look reasonably okay. Yeah, that'd be quite alright. Stick the cork in there so we don't lose anything on springs and stuff while we're dragging around on this. Right, well I've isolated the problem, and the real problem was the thermal overload. This thing was dodgy, so I've done away with it. And in the process I've done away with the relay as well, so we don't need either of those. So now we just direct wire it, and everything seems okay connection wise, so now it's a matter of put it back together and she should go. That's it. Okay, so now we should have voltage to the brushes. Bingo, 14.7, which is coming out of the battery charger. So we've bypassed the thermal cutout switch, which was the big problem. This thing here was dicky, dodgy, so we've done away with it altogether. We don't need that. The relay's probably okay, so I'll keep that. Might be useful, who knows. And now it's just a matter of put it back together and it should go. So you can see in here it's just a direct feed through the switch. Switch is rated at 15 amps. I replaced the switch as well because the one that was on there was a bit lightweight, even though it was rated higher, as high as this. I didn't like the way it was constructed. The terminals were a bit wobbly, so I put in another one I've salvaged from somewhere, and I'll fill in the hole where the thermal cut out. I'll put a rubber grommet in there. I've also taken the clear, sort of clear waterproof cover off the switch because it was hard to use the switch, and basically this thing shouldn't be out in the rain anyway, so it really doesn't do anything. So We've simplified things a lot. Right, let's put it back together. Alright, so now it's just a matter of try the motor and see if it spins over. I think it will. I'm sure it will. Should be good. I've checked the bore on this, it all looks good. So now I'll just give it a smear of petroleum jelly, and that'll just be enough to help lubricate the nylon seal. You don't want anything too heavy, so that should be just enough to give the bore a little bit of a lube and can't hurt anything. And it's ready to go back together. All the rest of it is all sealed bearings. Okay. Now the bottom ones go onto the mounting plate, so we'll put them in last. Now we stick this thing on. Looking good. Looking good. Ah, look at that. Perfect. Perfect. Now that goes on there. And that screws in there. It's looking good. That's more better. That's more better. Piece of cake. The moment of truth. The moment of truth. So it draws a lot of amps. That's the charger can't supply enough. It's alright, it's spinning over and it's pumping air, so it's looking good. And now for the last bolt. And that will be it. Finito. Just run it off the car battery then and see how it goes with the full power supply working. I'll measure it and see what it draws. Not bad. This end, the plastic was cracked in there, so I put a washer on there, just that one side. I didn't bother with the other side, it's squared up pretty well, so. Looks like a charm. Well, she's all good. It all worked out great. Works fantastic. And you can see what I've done. I've knocked out the base plate so it's straight now. It was really bent up to hell before. And I left this off. This was the cover that went over the motor. As there's no thermal overload, it was better if you could leave that off. You can feel the motor and see how warm it's getting. And also, it's pretty rusty and beat up looking. And quite a few of them you buy just look like that anyway. They just have the motor. There, so how'd you be? I mean, buy a new one like that could cost you, a couple of hundred, you know. It just depends. They vary in price a lot. But I tried doing an amperage reading on it to see what it's drawing. The switch is rated at 16 amps and the switch never got warm, but when I tried to measure the current flow, I couldn't because I was getting too much ripple and the reading was way too high. So obviously DC commutator was putting a lot of ripple back through the line, so it was probably double what it would have been. I'd guess it's probably pulling about 12, 13 amps. And the switch is rated at 16, so and it never got warm, so yeah, that would be within scope. But certainly the reading I got was way too high. There's obviously a lot of ripple coming out of this thing. Okay, well there you go, folks. Interesting. Just shows you, some stuff that's chucked out can be fixed. In this case, it just took a bit of looking into, and yeah, it pumps as hard as ever, and taking the armature out didn't do any damage at all, so yeah, works fine. Okay, well that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Do you want dumpster diving? You never know what you might find. Okay, see you next time. Cheers.